What is your NSFW fun fact about yourself? Thanks to an autoimmune disease. My DCK is a couple of different colors. No other part of my body has been affected. Just my dick. Taste the rainbow. Girlfriend got a dildo with a suction cup and we were fooling around and I stuck it to my forehead. I was a dildo unicorn for about 30 seconds. Took it off. And the look of horror from her said it all. I had a giant purple bruise on my forehead. Couldn't find a good excuse, so I called out of work the next day and learned how to do makeup. Don't be a dildo unicorn. Don't suction anything to be a unicorn. My 9-year-old did this last month with a suction arrow and she had a large red bruise for a week. Super cute at her age, saying she was trying to be a unicorn though. My pee turns toilets purple. It was the freakiest thing when it started happening and my doctor couldn't figure out what was happening. I would use a toilet and then a few hours later brownish spots would appear and those spots would eventually turn a purplish color. My wife and I figured it had to be something to do with my medication because it only started happening when I switched to new meds. Eventually, after a lot of research, we found a paper in a medical journal that mentioned that in very rare cases the urine of patients who took my medication would have interactions with various household cleaners. That interaction can happen on the film of cleaning solution residue on toilets and turn brown, red or even purple. That's ducking freaky. Somewhat similarly, my blood turned an awful greenish brown on a migraine med. My testes are drastically different sizes. Like a golf ball and a macadamia nut. Haha, I appreciate the concern but nothing to worry about. They've been like that as long as I can remember. I saw a doctor when I was a teenager and he said there was likely an injury to the smaller one causing the larger one to grow extra for it during puberty. I once realigned the lower spine of a girl I had been seeing by. Well, it was a doggy style. She had been plagued by lower back and tailbone issues for months until that fateful day. She thanked me for my services and needless to say, my dick is now a licensed chiropractor. I thought that was metaphor at first. At the height of experiencing prolonged concussion symptoms, I masturbated and felt a jolt like a shock of electricity travel up my body to the part of my brain where a light fixture fell on my head. My symptoms instantly subsided. #post-nut clarity achieved. Rare achievement unlocked edit. Hot damn silver. Thank you. An ant bit my testicles once while I was having sex at a hiking trail. In case anyone is wondering. It was awful. And now that testicle can lift 50 times your body weight. I once was the dude the lesbian chick had sex with who upon having sex with me decided she does in fact like girls. I take this as both a compliment and an insult. I was that girl once. My friend was questioning if he was gay or bi. And he was very attractive. So we hooked up. He was fine with the BJ. But lost it during sex. Yeah, he was gay. I use my right hand for everything. Except for masturbating. I just can't with my right hand. My ex actually said the same thing. He is right-handed but only used his left hand to jack off. It's because most righties use their right hand for the mouse. My dad was having sex with a hospital nurse while my mom was giving birth to me. That's long been used for the many fights and reasons my mom hates men. This is insanely ducked up. My picture was published in Playboy magazine. Old job of mine. The owner's wife slipped and drunkenly told us she was in Playboy in the 90s. She laughed it off and said it was one picture and her husband was embarrassed but basically said we'd never find it. Well, my old weed guy had an entire room full of Playboys. Like a library he collected. We knew which college she went to and which decade, so we looked through all the issues of Girls of Conferences. Lo and behold, full glorious page of her wearing a Letterman's jacket with her boobs out. Leg raised and showing bush. Still have copies of it somewhere lol. On occasion my dreams are so vivid that I mistake them as reality. And only realize it's not so after I wake up. The rare times when I have the urge to pee in the morning after stupidly drinking liters of water before I sleep. My dreams shift to being in the toilet where I pee. My brain and body get synchronized to my dream and I end up pissing in my pants. Weird ass embarrassing experience and I'm in my 20s. Probably a consequence of stress. It bends to the right. Mine to the left edit. The most upvoted and awarded comment of my life is about my DCK bend. Cool. I can Jedi mind trick myself to cum with no physical contact. I've only seen this power once before. Is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi. It's ironic. He could trick himself to cum but not others. I open NSFW posts at work. You're really living life on the edge. What are they gonna do? Fire them? Maybe. But then who's gonna clean up the mess? For a little while back in 2015-2016, I was dating a very high libido woman and we drank a lot. Ducked like rabbits. A few weeks go by. And when we would have sex, I would cum blood, well, very bloody cum. This happened for a couple months. Pretty gross. We wondered if my kidneys were failing. Was my bladder messed and leaking? So many questions for a couple months. We broke up and after only a few days, I no longer had blood in my cum. Turns out, we were having too rough sex too often. And the constant pounding was rupturing blood vessels in my penis. And we never rested long enough to let them fully heal. The blood pressure in my penis during sex, coupled with the abuse, was filling my urethra with blood. Moral of the story, fuck too hard for too long and too often. You can break your dick. Edit, amazing that this is the most popular post I've ever put out there. Not sure how to feel about that lol double edit. I learned some of us men get harder than normal. And that makes this affliction more likely. Call it a double-edged sword. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is spongy and bruised. Snoo SNU. Due to an error in the hospital system that happened when I was born. My last name is technically Coomer. My grandmother's maiden name Coomer. Are we technically related?